Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat, but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or You're Ugly. Pretty Empower approved.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by WRECKS. WRECKS is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. WRECKS contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio.
Podcasting out of Alliance Wrestling Studios, pontificating on pro wrestling, the innovator of talk NWA, he is J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Sessions with J. Cal. I have somebody who I've been really looking forward to speaking to for quite some time, and that's Wrecking Ball Legursky, guys.
Wrecking Ball Legursky, Fixers rule.
Hey, I got to do that with you. That's awesome. Hey, man. So you're somebody who I've wanted to talk to for quite some time. You and your partner Jay Bradley showed up on the scene with the National Wrestling Alliance, and just kind of I don't know, man. I don't know what the original plan was for you guys, but it seems like the fans really took to both you and Bradley right away. And I'm not asking you to tell me how awesome you are, but was that the plan? Did you think that the fans were going to jump in on that Fixers bandwagon as quickly as they did?
We didn't know what to expect. I mean, all we knew we were going to go there, kick ass, take names. Some people love us, some people hate us, but I think everyone has a reaction to us.
What did it mean for you? Well, first of all, how did you guys get paired together? Was that something that the office came up with, or did someone pick you guys, or how did the Fixers get together?
Jay had previously worked with Billy before with Impact, and there was another independent in Chicago. I forgot the name of it. It was like Rev Pro or something.
Yeah.
Jay had wanted to come back to wrestling. He asked Billy if there was any opportunities. He said only for a tag team and to find a tag team partner. I had met Jay online only during the pandemic. He was part of this online training forum during the pandemic called Snakebit Pro. It was run by Sin Bodhi, who was Kazarni in the WWE. And basically they would have different people do, film review of historical WWE matches or whatever, historical wrestling matches. And then they would also review different wrestler stuff. I met Jay through that. He did a seminar on how to wrestle like a big man or whatever. I sent him some of my stuff. And then we kept in contact for that. Then we went a while without talking, and then he hit me up out of nowhere saying he needed a tag team partner, and boom, there we go. Right from Jump Street, the first thing he said. So I got to the hotel before he did when we met. I hear him knocking. I open up the door. He goes, "Huh, I thought you were going to be bigger. I mean, he was being sarcastic because
Sure.
I'm obviously bigger than him. But yeah, and I think we gelled right away.
So it sounds like it kind of happened pretty organically, the pairing, and like you said, you guys do gel in the ring right away. I mean, we were introduced to you guys initially as a Corino's flunkies, if you will, his hitmen, if you will, his
Mhm.
fixers. But though you guys really have transitioned from that role as to a real competitive tag team, so much so that during the Crockett Cup, I was one of the guys advocating that you guys would be winning the Crockett Cup, and I mean getting that big victory over the OGK was a big step in that process. Unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition, but tell us about the Crockett Cup and how that got how you two were able to get into that tournament in advance.
Well, we had wrestled the OGK before, actually in our debut. So we beat the Ill-Begotten and that in our debut. Then later that night we wrestled the OGK. We lost, but we were able to take whatever lessons we learned when we lost the first time around. We brought them back to the second time around, and fixers rule.
Now, you spent a lot of time wrestling on the Northeast. I know,
Mhm.
we were talking offline about not a lot of people would know this, but one of the promotions before Billy Corgan purchased the NWA was NWA on Fire, and you actually made a few appearances for them. Tell me a little bit about the Wrecking Ball that works in the Northeast, and how different is he from the Wrecking Ball that we see on Saturdays and Tuesdays for the NWA?
There a lot of similarities. Um, the biggest difference is I think I have more fun with Jay. You
Yeah.
know, I definitely do. My wrestling style is pretty much the same, but the antics and the hijinks and the goofing off are definitely a lot more with Jay around. Kind of brings that out with me.
Whose idea was it for the cereal?
Um, I don't know because we were just talking about different ideas, and how like if you win the Stanley Cup, like people like drink alcohol and stuff out of it. So we're big guys. We like to eat, so we're like, what the hell? We'll eat cereal out of it.
All right, what's your favorite cereal?
Cookie Crisp. Come on, man.
See,
Call it Cookie Crisp, then
I'm a
Reese's Puffs.
Reese's Puffs are good. I'm a Fruity Pebbles guy.
No, I like chocolate pebbles better. Cocoa Pebbles better.
Cocoa Pebbles. They're gluten free.
Yeah, gluten free.
Pebbles are gluten free
Come on.
because they're rice. They're gluten free. A little bit healthier for you. A little bit.
Gluten's a myth.
All right, all right. Uh, so let's talk a little bit more about the Wrecking Ball character. Obviously, you're a big dude.
Mhm.
You can't call yourself the Wrecking Ball without being a big dude. At what point in your life did you say, you know what, I think I got the skills. I think I can become a pro wrestler. When were you old enough or cognitive enough to know that you wanted to be a pro wrestler?
I kind of wanted to be one my entire life. I was like, I mean, I didn't stay wanting it my entire life, like I watched it, when I was in elementary school and was a fan for years, watching the Attitude Era. And I was kind of like in and out and in and out. And then, my love for wrestling was rekindled in college. Um, Once I finished my college football career, um, there was a training school in the town that I actually lived in. So I was like, I got to do it.
What I'm guessing you were playing the D line, right? Were you a
Offensive line, offensive
so
line, yeah.
were you a guard?
Yes. So I play in high school. I played offensive tackle, and then in college I played guard.
Did they have you pull a lot? Because I just imagine you would truck people.
They did. But I just honestly, more than pulling, I just like drive blocking people. There was nothing better than driving someone 5 yards back and then putting them on their back.
Well, I think I would have that play with giving you a full the fullback position and let you just crush people right up the gap.
Yeah, oh yeah. I would have loved to play fullback. I was a little too big for fullback though.
See, I played high school football too, and I'm a hell of a lot smaller than you. I was the Rudy of my high school team. So like I'd get the junk minutes at the end of the game, and I would, I'd come in and play when the other team was already beaten. So I would just get It was fun.
Yeah.
So the transition from football to wrestling. Now, did you do any like amateur wrestling beforehand, or did you?
I wrestled in high school. Yeah.
Were you wrestling?
Yes, heavyweight. Yeah, it was 275 my first 3 years, then they bumped up the weight limit to 285, which yeah, that was like over 100 pounds ago. Oops.
No, I wrestled at what was it? I was ready to go at 155, 156, but I wrestled because we had a lot of guys that were really good at my school. I ended up wrestling like that 189 heavy. Like for us, that was like the mid heavy, and I'd wrestle 189, and I'd get crushed by guys because I only weighed like 155, 156. I go weigh with my gear and my bag on, and it dink. All right, we're good to go.
Yeah, because you have to there's only a certain amount of classes you can bump up based off of your weight. So like some people sometimes have to kind of fudge the numbers like that.
That's what we did. Did you have any aspirations to do wrestling outside of high school? Like did that something you wanted to do in college, or strictly just football?
There was a time where I thought about it, but for me it was football.
Did you have aspirations of like an NFL career?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to. I played at a Division II school in Connecticut, Southern Connecticut State. I got hurt a lot in college. Like I had a few foot surgeries. I'm fine now, and there was no long-lasting effects or anything. It's just that I broke bones in my feet a couple times, but with college football, there's only a limited amount of time you have. So, those injuries, came throughout the career, and just I was a starter and I was pretty good when I played, but my career was very injury plagued.
That's tough because it's like the heart wants to do it, the mind wants to do it, but the body's just not holding up. That's rough, man. I had a lot of buddies that I went to school with. A lot of them got full rides. A lot of them went to I had a buddy that went to USC. Had another buddy that went to New Mexico State. But they were just never. They were never going to make that next level to the NFL just because they just couldn't hold up.
And people just don't get college football at any level is a business, you know what I mean? It's a full-time thing, and it runs you into the ground.
Did dealing with football in college and in high school, did that mentally prepare you for what you'd be facing when it came to pro wrestling?
Oh, absolutely. And I do think part of me wishes I got to wishes I started wrestling training sooner. I only started at 24, but at the same time, part of me is I made a lot of mistakes in my college football career that might have buried my wrestling career. You know what I mean? Just with maturity and growing up, because a lot of times if you get a reputation in wrestling, it's hard to overcome that reputation or to change that reputation.
there's a lot of people that I've known throughout the years who, said the wrong thing to the wrong person and essentially have been blackballed, and decent talents, interesting looks, but like, nope, we're not going to use you anymore because you're a cancer in the locker room. Bye. And it's simple as that. So I have conflicting reports, and I'm sure you'll be honest with me. I've heard some people say that you are a graduate of the Team 3D Academy, and I've heard other people say that you were trained by the OGK, Matt Taven and why am I forgetting his name? I actually really like
Mike Bennett.
Mike Bennett, thank you.
So both are true. So I trained at several places. So the initial place I was talking about was in New Haven, Connecticut. The trainer shall remain nameless.
Understood.
The first trainer was okay, like as far as like certain fundamentals and whatnot, and how to do certain roles. And then I trained with the OGK, and Vincent was there. He was in Ring of Honor as well. And then I trained there for a couple years. It was like a 2-hour ride for me to get there because I lived in Connecticut. The school was in Rhode Island. It was like a 2-hour ride. So yeah, I trained with them for like 2 years, and then had a little time off in between, and then trained with Bubba Ray Dudley for like 3 years. And everyone, at different points in my career added something valuable. Like the first guy, like again, like learning different roles and, agility things was very helpful. The OGK, Matt Taven was great. He was the one that was primarily there. He was great on he was trained actually by Spike Dudley. He's very much like understanding of, old school psychology, but it's also, a different time, like at the time it was 2019 and 2022, but it's like he understands the old school background with the new school stuff. He was great with like developing like fire and character. Vincent was extremely great on character development. Like how would Wrecking Ball react in this situation? How would Wrecking Ball talk? How would he walk? How would he register this? And like that's very important because there's so many people, like coming up on the indies and whatnot, and you even see it on national companies as well.
Yeah,
their character like doesn't make sense. Like
this is true.
It's like. If you hear my song on the indies, like it literally has a Wrecking Ball chant, but like figuratively, my song says Wrecking Ball. I walk like a Wrecking Ball. I talk like a Wrecking Ball. I wrestle like a Wrecking Ball. So many people do things that just don't make sense. There's like huge discrepancies in their character. It's like, how do you not see this? And that's like one of the most important things. Mike Bennett was great on like not having to always follow, whatever wrestling cliches, just try something, just think outside of the box, whether it's in the ring or outside of the ring, and do what works for you. And Bubba was just tremendous on psychology and ring psychology. Like he's the best with that. He's a absolute mastermind.
Is it fun having him? Is it fun having him in the locker room at the NWA shows as of late?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You still bend on his ear and ask for advice?
Oh yeah, definitely. He's one of the legends in the business. He's literally a Hall of Famer.
Like
the entire lot.
Go ahead.
No, it's just there's lots of people that ask advice for in the locker room.
Would you have any desire for you and Jay to take on Bully and perhaps
Hell yeah.
That
Hell yeah. The
I've said
Fixers rule.
I've said a couple of times there's like 3 tag teams I think need to be in the Crockett Cup if they're available. And if the Dudleys are available, I mean, you got to go with them, right?
Yeah, and the Dudleys or the Fixers would beat the Dudleys because the Fixers rule.
So so you were saying it, like you think like a wrecking ball, you talk like a wrecking ball, you wrestle like a wrecking ball. So you are the wrecking ball, and there's no doubt about it. What other wrestlers inspired you? Like who did you kind of model yourself after? Obviously, you have a very unique size and shape. There's not everyone in the ring now that's 6'6", and I don't know the exact weight, so please don't get mad at me. But
well over 400.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Like I study a lot of like Bam Bam Bigelow, Mark Henry. Like growing up, I was like a Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin type of fan. And like when I was in elementary school, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like Shawn Michaels. Nope. And then as I became a wrestler, like I started, watching more of Bam Bam Bigelow, Vader, Mark Henry. And lately I've been watching more of like Earthquake. I've got a lot of King Kong Bundy comparisons. I watch a lot of him. Yeah.
The first guy that I thought of was Bam Bam, because I've seen you move around the ring and you're not. Yes, you are a heavyweight. I mean, you maybe even super heavyweight, but you don't move around the ring like some other super heavyweights that I've seen. You have mobility. You know what I mean? Like there's some guys that they can't do what you're doing in that ring.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying any names either, but you know what I'm talking about. There's guys out there that just can't move like you, and you're freaking super heavyweight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I take pride in being able to move. Like I still like do agility drills. I still like, I do what I can to stay mobile. I stay active. I do a lot of training, a lot of agility, a lot of stretching. It's very important. I try to like, obviously I'm not thin, but I try to keep my weight in check as much as possible because, if it gets a little too heavy, I don't move quite as well. You know what I mean?
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. Plus, like, it's just good for your overall. You get too heavy, and that's hard on your joints. It's hard on your back. You gotta find that good balance.
Oh, absolutely.
So Bam Bam, Mark Henry, Vader. That's an interesting one too, man. Because I would love to see you just start tearing into somebody in the corner like Vader does, man. Any chance you can pull that out at some point? Just start going to.
Absolutely.
Let's see that.
Absolutely.
Like you've wrestled in the Northeast. I know that you've wrestled for NEW quite a bit. I know that you are kind of bouncing around in the Northeast. What specific promotions do you work for, or would you call home? Yeah,
I mean, obviously number 1 NWA, but number 2 Northeast Wrestling. They're where I came up, and I still wrestle there. I came up there. I've been loyal to them. They've been loyal to me. So they run different types of shows. Like they run, like the big high school shows. They run they'll do like minor league baseball stadium shows. And they also do the smaller shows, which like 300 people, and those they're in Bethany, Connecticut. That's like 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes from my house, that's
got to be beautiful.
Super cool. Yeah.
Sleep in your own bed and all that good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes those little Bethany shows have more like, and it's not. This is a positive of the bigger of the Bethany shows, not a knock on the bigger shows, but some of the smaller Bethany shows have more energy than those bigger shows. You know, like everyone pretty much goes to the shows every month. They know the storylines, they're invested in the characters. So, and plus the smaller buildings, sometimes the sound echoes and bounces off the walls more.
When you were getting into wrestling, and I'm sorry, I kind of bounced back a little bit, but it just popped into my head because I know just when you were training, I know sometimes it's difficult because you're very unique in terms of your size, especially on the indies. There's not a lot of guys who are built like you. I mean, it's where I'm from. We're kind of like the land of the little guys. It almost feels like we're a bunch of junior heavyweights out in Southern California. So all the guys that are wrestling and training, most of them wouldn't be a heavyweight anywhere. You know what I mean? And I imagine
Yeah.
that's something that you would run into as being as big as you are. Again, you're 6'6", right? Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
6'4", 6'6"?
Something like that.
We'll call it
Yeah.
6'4", 6'4", 400 plus. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of guys on the independent circuit that fit that bill. Was it hard for you to train with guys who didn't have the same size as you?
No, yes and no. You know, that got like that also got me used to wrestling people. Because most of the people aren't my size anyway, so I got to train with people. With people that size that I was going to wrestle anyway. But it also led me to do things that got me out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
Like I would try to do like certain drills and moves and stuff that I don't necessarily do them all in the NWA or anything.
Right.
But I have them in the back pocket. There's certain things that I could do that someone my size should physically shouldn't be able to do, but I could do. And it's because I was able to get outside of my comfort zone. And, again, I haven't necessarily used them yet, but I have them in my back pocket if I need them. If the time comes, if the situation comes, I have some moves that the old wrecking ball could pull out that you wouldn't expect that it could.
The stakes are high enough, right?
Yep.
So I would imagine that when you broke into wrestling, that winning a major championship was probably like on the top of the list of goals that you had probably set for yourself. But what other goals did you have when you got into pro wrestling? Like, I mean, sure, everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to get signed to a contract, but what goals did you have for your career in pro wrestling, and how close or have you checked a lot of those off?
Well, I mean, honestly, those first two things were the most important goals. I don't have a contract yet, but I've been making more and more money, and I'm booked every weekend. I get to see the country, and I've wrestled and a lot of times beaten top wrestling talent in the world. We beat the OGK. I've beaten Jack Swagger before. I've teamed with Bubba Ray Dudley. I've teamed with Tommy Dreamer. I've wrestled Darby Allin. I've wrestled a lot of the top talent, been a lot of places, and I think my stock is only rising.
You said that you grew up watching the Attitude Era. So how was it when you got to team with guys like Tommy Dreamer and, like you said, your mentor Bully Ray? How was it teaming with those guys?
It was insane. I think Tommy Dreamer was one of the first names I got to really work with, which was great. And then, that was a smaller show in front of like maybe like 400 people. And then Bully Ray, tagging with Bully Ray in front of 1,500 people after I trained with him for a year or two was absolutely nuts. It was at one of the bigger NEW shows. It was nuts. And then I got to put someone through a table with Bully Ray holding him down. It was nuts.
That's awesome, man.
It's just an amazing experience with amazing moments, and it's like obviously the contract and the money are huge goals, but that's also something you really can't replace, those moments and those memories.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like, I think, like, yes, everything else is super important, but those moments, man, I mean, that's the spice of life right there. Like, having that opportunity to team with Bully or Tommy, or just hoisting those U.S. Tag Team Championships up in the air. I mean, those are things that you're going to take to your grave, and hopefully share them with your kids and the grandkids and so forth. But I mean, that's really freaking cool. As a fan who's watching from the outside, I 100% agree with you. It's soak in those moments, because that's one thing they'll never be able to take away from you.
Yeah, those U.S. tag titles. That was that was a moment where I felt like I made it.
How soon did you know that you were going to win those titles? Did you know the night of? Did you know before?
The fixers know they're always going to win.
Fair enough. That opportunity, though, I mean, at the 74th anniversary show, the Battle Royal, I mean, I think a lot of us would have liked to have seen another tournament, but maybe two big tag team tournaments in 1 year might have been too much. But of course, that tournament certainly favored you and Bradley. You guys are two of the biggest guys in the promotion, let alone in that ring during the Battle Royal.
I think, honestly, we are the biggest tag team in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone.
I think we need to make more of a point of that. Like, can you name one active tag team, both in terms of both height and weight, that is currently bigger than us right now?
I think the only team that would come close, and it's because of one guy, is Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Because Strowman's
one guy. That's one guy, though, but Ricochet, obviously one of the most incredible athletes in the world. He's obviously a grown man, but he's not a big guy. Where both of the members are big guys, where both of the guys are 300 and above.
Yeah, I think that's you two. I think that's it. I don't, as I'm sitting here trying to think about it, no, I can't think of another team that's as big as Bradley and Legursky. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any opportunities that you've had to pass on as a working as a singles wrestler or as a tag team? Like, has there been stuff that's come up that you're like, nah, it's too risky of a move for me to take, or have all the bookings been pretty legit and up on the up and up?
Yeah, no, pretty much all the bookings have been legit. I've never, I think maybe one time earlier in my career, I had some issue with getting paid, but I've never had any real major drama or any major sketchiness, or I'm sure there's things I've turned down or whatever, but I don't know, never too much drama. I mean, there's been times where I've had to turn down stuff because of like scheduling issues where I was booked already or whatever, but nothing, or maybe a time or two where they wouldn't pay enough or whatever. Like earlier in your career, sometimes you might take a little bit less, or sometimes you might not even get paid, or sometimes you gotta be like, well, you gotta balance out, okay, what is this experience giving me? Is it a good pay? Is it a good learning experience? Is it a good opponent? Is it a good networking opportunity? Those are things you all got to, balance, especially early on. I mean, now, I definitely got to get paid when I got to get paid, but
Do you have more fun wrestling as a tag team or wrestling as a singles?
each of them has their own benefits, but in terms of like pure fun, I have more fun tagging. Like, like brother in wrestling is used a lot, but Jay really is like my big brother, and I think we almost have that. I don't know, I feel like it comes out on the screen in that like big brother, little brother relationship.
Now that you say it, I get it. I always kind of thought of the cartoon dogs, and I don't mean this to be insulting at all, but the one that's the boss, and then the little one that's kind of bouncing around him. And
yeah,
not that you're little, but that's kind of the personality that I get. Is you're the guy bouncing around, like, all right, boss, what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
And I, you know what? I think that's kind of part of the reason why the fans got behind you guys so quickly is because the dynamic, the relationship that you guys have. The fact that you're both willing to be silly but also serious at the same time. I don't feel like you guys ever put yourself in a bad situation or in a situation where you look bad. Do sometimes you guys look goofy though, sure, but you never look bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And sometimes being with Jay helps me get out of that comfort zone sometimes, and being able to put myself in sillier situations. But it's like, Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, like especially Kurt Angle, did some silly stuff.
No,
but no one would ever question that he's a badass dude. You know what I mean? No one would question Brock Lesnar is a badass dude.
No.
Just because you're tough or you think you're tough doesn't mean you can't have fun or you can't do something funny or something goofy, because you could still there's entertainment in this. I love the pure wrestling aspect, but there's sports and entertainment.
So I did, while we were talking, I looked up real quick because earlier we had mentioned the NWA On Fire, and it shows back in August of 2013, you wrestled Joseph von Schmidt at the fairgrounds in Topsin, Maine. You guys wrestled to a double count out. Does any of that sound familiar to you?
Yes, I completely forgot about that match. I just remember brawling in my only recollection is just brawling in the stands in that match.
So in 2013, I mean, you had mentioned that you had been working with
that's 10 years ago. That's right. Wild.
So what kind of wrestler were you in 2013? And I'm not trying to insult you in any way, but I imagine you've grown a lot since 2013.
Yeah, no, I think I was fine. But a lot of similarities, just same style, similar moves and attitude and gimmick and whatnot, but just not as experienced, not as refined in the ring, just not as knowledgeable. And my gear was a little bit different. So back in those days, I had kind of a one-piece Dickies jumpsuit. It was like a sleeveless mechanic jumpsuit.
I'm picturing it right now. Did you also have one of those beanies too, like one of the hats?
No. The Wrecking Ball does not approve of beanies.
All right, so then let's go a little bit forward, man. This is a lot of fun. I do appreciate you taking your time to talk to us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we get to the NWA. You guys show up. I guess it was in 2021. You guys, you and Jay are the cronies for Colby Corino, and Colby's, he's the boss as it was, but you guys start getting in the ring, you're wrestling against, like you said before, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, the Ill-Begotten. You're getting involved in the ring. Hell, you even wrestled George South in an empty arena match. Tell me about the first couple of months working with the NWA and how that experience was for you.
It was a dream come true. It was my first real opportunity at a big break. I've had WWE tryouts. I've had matches with Impact, but NWA was the first real big break. It was the first opportunity where there was something already there for me. Like a lot of times, like it's hard going to a tryout situation because they don't necessarily have something in mind for you. Whereas NWA, they had something, or at least a general idea of what's going on. But it was a very professional atmosphere. I was also a little nervous because that was my first shot. Because I feel like everyone, to a degree, like at some point, like I felt like I got lost in the shuffle for a while. Like I felt like I kept getting pushed aside, and a lot of people from the Northeast and New England who were deserving of the opportunities were getting opportunities, but I wasn't. And I just felt like, I don't know, I just got lost in the shuffle for some reason. And then NWA was my opportunity. And NWA, like we talked about earlier, was my home. And I felt like, there was a lot of pressure, but at the same time, I fit right in. The locker room was great. Backstage was great. The producers were great.
Were you a Smashing Pumpkins fan growing up?
Yeah, in high school, it was more like I didn't know the discography from front to back, but I was more of a greatest hits guy.
Sure. So how I tell people this all the time, but I kind of sound like a dick, and I'm not trying to, but like I never was a big Pumpkins fan. So like, it doesn't get lost on me that I've got to talk to Billy Corgan, a huge freaking rock star. That doesn't get lost on me, but I've never been like, oh my gosh, it's the greatest musician ever, because I'm not a huge Pumpkins fan. But how is it, talking to the boss and when you're around him, do you kind of get caught up in like, holy shit, this dude's a rock star?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like it's this weird dynamic where it's almost an oxy. I don't know if it's oxymoron's the right word, but like sometimes it's like, wow, he's like, he's just a real down to earth, easy to talk to guy. On the other end, it's like, holy shit, you're right. He's a huge rock star, and I'm talking with him. He's my boss, and he's telling me what to do right now. And what really, like, I got to see him in concert
that's dope.
a few months ago, and I got even more of an appreciation seeing him in person. Like, I knew he was a good guitar player,
right?
Like, but seeing him shred in person, wow, that is completely different. I was just blown away. It's just, he's so talented, just absolutely shredding. To be able to shred and sing at the same time is just amazing.
I could barely walk and talk at the same time. So watching any of these guys with a guitar and being able to sing at the same time is something that's I couldn't even dream of that. It's just
me neither. Like I don't even get how the brain processes that.
Yeah, but here he is, and I mean he's been doing it for like, gosh, I think like close to 30 years now. So
Yeah, yeah.
legend, of course, and again, I don't mean any disrespect towards him when it comes to the music, just not my particular cup of tea. But even as somebody who isn't, I wouldn't call myself a fan, I can totally appreciate the effort and energy and the ability that he has, and it's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
no.
And,
Just amazing. Just he's shred, absolutely shreds.
he, he's living out the dream of a lot of us who, we're not wrestlers, we never will be pro wrestlers, but having this opportunity to take this legacy brand like the National Wrestling Alliance and breathe life into it in a different way that it never had before, and give opportunities to people like you and people like Jay Bradley. And I think that's really cool. Like, I don't always love some of the product, but I have all the respect in the world for Billy for what he's been able to do for the NWA. Like I said, we've been covering the National Wrestling Alliance since 2007 as a website, alliance-wrestling.com. We've been talking about the NWA for a very long time. And I got to tell you, there's been more people who are more aware of what the NWA is today than it was in yesteryear, which, there was a lot of great talents back in the day too, but I mean, you got to focus on what's happening now. And, that tag team division's growing. Now that you guys have had a taste of championship gold, I mean, is the talk to circle back to those U.S. tag titles? I mean, I know I watched on Saturday, you guys took the physical belts back. I mean, what's the plan there? What are you going to do with those?
Well, there are belts. They say fixers rule on them. They're red, white, and blue. They're American. We're American. Those are our belts.
Well,
what are you talking about?
Aren't the country gentlemen American? I mean, they're country.
Is Tennessee really America?
What do you think about us over here in California then, man?
No.
I'm not talking politics. What about this tour that's going to Mexico? Of course it's the World is a Vampire Festival that's going to Mexico City. Are you disappointed that you're not going, or is this one of those things like, well, we'll get it on the next one?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I really would have liked to, but like that gives me motivation to continue to work hard and keep kicking ass, and hopefully we'll get it on the next one.
And then, of course, we know that the Chicago pay-per-view is coming up on April the 7th. I'm hoping that you guys have something going on then. I mean, we saw you guys, unfortunately, lose those titles back on the 31st. Didn't get to see it at the pay-per-view, so I'm really hoping to see some things unfold over the next few weeks on Power, because I feel like we've had a shortage of Legursky and Bradley for a while. How does it feel because I mean, I know that's all filmed in a few days, but how does it feel when you're sitting there and you're just kind of waiting for that, the next segment, the next moment that you get to be out in front of the cameras? How is that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the pay-per-view, as a there's like basically being a football player sitting on the bench.
I know.
I don't like sitting on the bench.
Right.
So, the tape, we were at the tapings the Sunday and the Monday, so there's going to be some fixtures coming up within the next few weeks. Those are long days waiting for the tapings. You got weeks and weeks and weeks of tapings to do within a matter of a couple days. Two long days, but they're good. Being able to interact with the crew and the locker room and the roster, and just all there's a lot of visualizing, stretching, and listening to music and getting hyped, getting prepared. And
is there when you're in the back, do a lot of the producers and agents kind of come up to you and give you direction, or is it more like, so what's your vision for this match? Okay, go out and do it.
Yeah, no, there's a general direction that's given, but it's It's up to us.
So that brings me, like we talked about, of course, the NWA. Again, that's our wheelhouse here at alliance-wrestling.com. I think we talk about NWA more than anyone else that does out there. But you're also going to be working an event, I believe it's March the 25th, for Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators.
Yes, sir.
And, how did that come about? Because we've been singing your praise on our podcast for a while. That those fixers in the NWA, man, those guys are onto something. I'm not saying that we had anything to do with getting you booked. Obviously, that's your hard work and stuff. But you're going to be on the show on the event on the 25th. How did that come about?
I know I messaged them, but I forgot exactly. It might have been through. I mean, I communicate through Twitter. I think the Twitter page commented something like "Fixers Rule." Then I messaged them. I was like, "Hey, do you have any upcoming dates available? I see that you're in New Jersey. I'm out of Connecticut." They're like, "Whoa, really?" Like the promoter didn't realize I was in Connecticut. It seems like he was a fan. He knew of me, and was a NWA fan, Fixers fan, and he thought I lived in like Tennessee or something. I'm like, no, I live in Connecticut. And then the show they had, I think I forgot when it was, didn't have any openings, but this was the next show, and he booked me, and yeah, so just through realizing that they were fans and sending a Twitter message asking if there's any availability.
So the old-fashioned way, just put your name out.
Slid into the DMs.
It doesn't work just for dates, fellas. So that's cool, man. And that is the March 25th show, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's
awesome. It's at Rowan University. But,
okay. The Rowan is actually, that's a different show.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not. Hold on. What's it? Yeah, February 23rd. I was just agreeing, yeah, March 25th, because I knew I had March 25th with something. But no, yeah, it's actually on Thursday, February 23rd. Okay. Yeah.
That's the private event, and which again, that's only available for students of the Rowan University. But I think last time they were able to put some of those matches up on YouTube, so hopefully we'll be able to check out what you're doing there from that Rowan show. Rowan event. I know the promoter, if you heard me say show, would punch me in the face. But yeah, it's an event. Well, I just have a few more questions to ask you, and these are more fanboy questions. Obviously, because of your size, because of your style of wrestling, it transcends more than just wrestling in the United States. Is there a thought for you, or is there a hope or aspiration to one day wrestle in Japan? Is that something?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to wrestle in Japan. I think I would probably be bigger, like metaphorically bigger in Japan than I am in America.
Yeah, and for multiple reasons, because again, like your stature, I mean, you're a big guy. You're not just big. You're big.
Yeah,
you're big all over. So I feel like that would do very well in that country, and especially like maybe like a Pro Wrestling Noah or an All Japan. They don't have a lot of guys.
I know Jay's been in Japan before. Jay's been around the block. He was in WWE, Impact. Noah.
Believe it or not, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I know Jay back when he was wrestling in the early days, when they would bring him out from Chicago to the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla shows out here in SoCal. So he would come out with CM Punk and Colt Cabana. Adam Pearce was already out here. And he was a very, very young Jay Bradley back then. And I feel like I got to watch his maturation process, because he was out here. He was working. He was also working with Dave Marquez at the time, who was doing like a New Japan USA TV show. And we're talking like in 2004, 2003. Yeah. So I got to see early Jay Bradley, and then I think back then we were calling him Brad Bradley, but yeah, it's he has been all over the world, and people don't really know that. And I think that's a shame because it's like, oh, this dude is kind of legit, man. He's kind of been everywhere. Like, put some respect on that dude's name.
Oh, absolutely. WWE, Impact, Noah, New Japan, and potentially All Japan. OVW. He was a trainer at OVW for a little bit. Like, he has been all over.
So, what do you say? You can take the show on the road. You guys head to Japan next year. What's going on?
Dude, I would love to. You know, I think the Fixers would be over in Japan.
There's a lot of. I start thinking of guys who are big, right? I think of like Jeff Cobb. He's a big guy, but he's not as big as you, right?
No, he's a stocky dude. He's like one of the strongest guys in wrestling, but he's more of a, like, from what I heard, I've never wrestled him, but I've heard freak strength. But he's not that big. He's like, 5'10", 5'11", 270, like stocky powerhouse.
Yeah.
But I don't know of any like real huge guys in Japan anymore.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and I'm drawing a blank too.
Like Lance Archer's been there. I don't think he's over there now. Bad Luck Fale, like he's big. He's big, but besides that, I can't think of any like huge guys, like especially like that are similar to the size of like the All Japan guys from 1990 to 1997.
No.
And we kind of fit that build.
Yeah, that's kind of where I like. Look, I don't book anything, but that's where I kind of see you guys slotting in. It would be like All Japan, but because we're getting towards the end of the show, I'm curious, like, who would you like to step into the ring against now? Like, give me a tag team you'd like to face, or give me some single wrestlers you'd like to test your mettle against. Would you ever want to wrestle against your partner, Jay Bradley?
Nah. Who I want to wrestle? You brought it up before. The Dudley Boys, Team 3D.
That'd be dope.
So
I'm for that.
Dudley Boys, Team 3D, and La Rebellion. They're the tag champs, so we want the NWA World Tag Team titles. So that's a natural. So Team 3D is the dream match, and La Rebellion is the NWA match.
What about anybody on the indies that maybe some of our viewers don't know about? Is there a wrestler or a tag team you'd want to spotlight? Just let them have an opportunity to step in the ring with you, to give them a rub, if you will.
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Well, La Rebellion, I think, they would certainly be at a size deficit against you guys.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely have speed on you, though. But, man, that would be an interesting, what they say, different styles make the match. I think that would be one of those instances where you have two big bruisers against two cruisers, basically. I think that'd be a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and who I would want on the indies one-on-one is a guy named Trax. He's out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
He's wrestled for Battleground Championship Wrestling before. Battleground is run out of the ECW Arena. So they do shows every like 3 or 4 months, run out of ECW Arena. He was in OVW back in the day. He wasn't signed, but Trax has actually had a couple of NWA matches.
Yeah.
A couple of matches, but he needs a bigger spotlight, and I think me wrestling him would put that spotlight
That's
on.
cool.
And I think my rival in the Northeast is Adam Kerr. He's actually we've had a couple of matches. He's actually won them all. He's like my size. We used to be a tag team called the Meat Locker, and at the time, we were the biggest tag team in wrestling before we split up. And I think more people need to know about him. Big athletic guy, and but I think our match needs to be done on a bigger stage, and I also need to kick his ass.
He's got some receipts coming, I guess.
He certainly does.
All right, the last thing I'm going to ask you about, and then we'll call it a night. And I do appreciate your time. You mentioned Battleground. What was it like it being a part of the triple threat with you, Ray Jazz, and Shane Douglas? Pretty cool moment for you, no?
Yeah, absolutely. We were the new triple threat. I mean, that alone, the entrance alone, like that's one of those things we were talking about before. It's a moment. There's different moments, and that's a moment. And the ECW arena. I mean, it's called the 2300 arena now, but it's the ECW arena.
It's always going to be the
Like
ECW arena.
Yeah, just the entrance, everything. Those were just tremendous moments, and it's like something you can't replace.
Well, that's awesome, man. Again, thank you so much for taking your time to speak with us tonight here on the Sessions with J. Cal. Like I said, that's all we do here is talk NWA. We talk a lot about the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators in the Northeast, and we're buddies with Rick Del Santo, who covers the Pro Wrestling Zone podcast, does a lot of Northeast coverage too. So we're very happy to have you on and just talk some wrestling. What's next for you? I know you said you've got the DAWG event on the 23rd, which is a private show for the students at Rowan University. But what else do you have coming up the pike?
All right. Thursday is the Rowan show for DAWG. The Rowan event.
Yes.
The Rowan event for DAWG.
I was about to get you on that one, but you got yourself, so good on you.
Friday is UFO wrestling in Everett, Mass. And Saturday is Tetsu Pro in Bristol, Connecticut. I'm wrestling Troy Stevens. I used to train with him at that first school. He's also really good as well. He's someone that I think people need to know more. And then next week, I'm making my debut for SWF in New Jersey, Friday and Saturday in New Jersey. And then Sunday, tagging with Lucky Ali, who's wrestled for American New Japan Strong before against the Ugly Ducklings for Catalyst Wrestling.
So, I mean, man, that's great. Sounds like you're working quite a bit. So that's great.
Yep. And March 11th, Northeast Wrestling in Waterbury, Connecticut. Don't know who I'm wrestling there. And March 18th, Battleground against Alpha Junior.
Oh, that's another big
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
That sounds awesome. Folks can follow you on Facebook and on Twitter at Wrecking Ball 75. Yeah?
Yep. Yes, sir. And the Instagram is wrecking_ball_Legursky. LEGURSKY.
Do a lot of people
someone else did Wrecking Ball 75 on Instagram, so I was kind of pissed about that.
Do a lot of people get Legursky spelled wrong? Because I'm horrible at spelling, but that's just so easy for me to spell Legursky.
Yeah, no, people are able to figure it out. I mean, generally in wrestling, you should have an easy to remember or easy to spell name, but somehow saying Legursky doesn't sound like it'd be easy, but you just sound it out and it works.
It's a throwback to the 80s, man. I love it. It's good.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was intended to do. It sounds like one of those old school football names.
Yes, exactly. And now on your defensive line or O line, Legursky, 7'5".
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, I do appreciate your time. I won't keep you any longer. Best of luck to for all the matches that are coming up in the coming weeks, and looking forward to seeing you, very soon. Hopefully on a pay-per-view in April with the NWA.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.